Tyler Dawson wasn't the type of man to chase attention. In his early 40s, he'd built a quiet life for himself in a coastal town just outside Charleston, South Carolina. His mornings began with a run through the misty boardwalks. His evenings ended with a book or jazz softly playing in the background. Yet something changed when he began to draw attention from younger women 10, sometimes 15 years younger. And it wasn't because he wore designer clothes or drove an expensive car. It was because of the way he spoke. This is the story of how Tyler discovered the power of words, specifically 7 phrases that made younger women not just notice him, but think about him constantly. It wasn't manipulation. It wasn't game playing. It was connection, confidence, and something much deeper. It began this summer. He started teaching a creative writing class at the local community center. He had recently stepped away from his corporate job to pursue the things he'd always loved: literature, teaching, and thoughtful conversation. That's where he met Lila Monroe, a 28-year-old aspiring author with sharp eyes and an even sharper wit. Their first encounter was typical, casual, professional, polite. But by the 3rd class, Tyler noticed something different in the way Lila looked at him, the way her eyes lingered on his hands as he flipped through the pages of a Hemingway novel, the way she laughed just a bit too long at his dry jokes. What Tyler didn't realize was that Lila was intrigued not by his age or appearance, but by the way he spoke. He used words in a way that made her feel heard, seen, and valued. She wasn't the only one. Other women, like 26-year-old Natalie, who worked the front desk at the gym, or 30-year-old Grace, who owned the cafe down the street, began reacting similarly. They'd stop mid-task just to chat, find excuses to continue conversations, linger a little longer than necessary. After talking with his close friend, Marcus, a retired psychologist, Tyler came to realize it wasn't magic, it was intentionality. These weren't just phrases. They were emotional triggers that resonated on a deeper level. And unknowingly, Tyler had been using them in the most sincere ways. Let's walk through those phrases, through Tyler's experiences with Lila, Natalie, and Grace, and see how the words we choose can form unforgettable connections. The first phrase Tyler often used, without realizing its effect, was, "I see you." Not in a literal way, but in the emotionally attentive sense. He said it once to Lila after reading a passage from her story that revealed personal trauma. As the rest of the class offered shallow feedback, Tyler looked at her and said, "I see you in these words. There's real bravery here." Lila was silent, her lips parting just slightly, surprised that someone had truly understood her. That one sentence echoed in her mind for days. She told her friend later that night, "I can't stop thinking about what he said. It was like he read my soul." The second phrase came during a simple cafe visit. Tyler had stopped by Grace's coffee shop to read. Grace, ever the energetic entrepreneur, was bustling around when she spilled her tray. Tyler helped her without hesitation and said, "You don't have to do everything yourself." That moment stunned Grace. No one had ever told her that before. Everyone always admired her hustle, her independence, but Tyler recognized the weight she carried. She smiled, genuinely, and offered him a muffin on the house. Just for saying that, she laughed. But that phrase lingered. She began making excuses to see him, texting him daily specials, inviting him to private tasting events. The third phrase came with Natalie. One evening, as Tyler entered the gym, he noticed Natalie looking unusually quiet. Most men ignored it, but Tyler paused and said, "What's on your mind today?" That phrase opened a door. Natalie shared that her dog had been sick, her rent had just increased, and she felt overwhelmed. Tyler didn't try to fix it. He just listened. And Natalie said later, "It was like he gave me space to breathe." These weren't grand gestures. These were simple, yet powerful affirmations of empathy. And the more Tyler reflected, the more he noticed this pattern. The fourth phrase was, "I admire how passionate you are about that." He said it to Lila again during a class discussion when she went on a passionate rant about classic versus contemporary literature. Most people might have rolled their eyes at her intensity. Tyler didn't. He saw fire, and he honored it. Lila started dressing differently after that. A little more confident. A little more bold. She told him a week later, "You made me feel like it's okay to be intense." The fifth phrase was something he used with Grace during a spontaneous, deep conversation after hours at her cafe. As she spoke about her dreams to open a second location and how scared she was, Tyler leaned in and said, "You've already overcome so much. Don't forget that." Grace blinked back tears. She didn't cry often, but those words hit her. She replayed that phrase in her head every night before bed. Soon, she invited Tyler to her family's weekend barbecue, calling him someone who just gets me. The sixth phrase, Tyler realized, was rare among men his age or any age. It was, "Tell me more." When a woman shared something personal, deep, or vulnerable, Tyler didn't cut in. He didn't jump to conclusions. He encouraged her to keep going. He used this phrase with Natalie after she opened up about a recent breakup. Most people offered advice. Tyler offered space. And Natalie, who had kept her guard up for years, told him, "You're like the first guy who actually wants to know me." And finally, the seventh phrase, the one that wove all others together, was, "I respect that." Whether it was Lila choosing not to date for a while, or Grace declining his offer to help with her event because she wanted to do it herself, or Natalie changing jobs to follow her dream, Tyler never challenged or questioned their decisions. He affirmed them. Respect. Real, verbal respect. Not performative. Not conditional. Just true acknowledgement. It wasn't long before Lila confessed over coffee, "I think about the things you say all the time. You're in my head in the best way." Grace smiled one night and said, "You're different, Tyler. You say things that stay with people." And Natalie, as they walked through the park, playfully nudged him and said, "You've got a way of talking that's kind of addictive, you know that?" But Tyler didn't say these things as strategy. He said them because he meant them. That's what made them powerful. The intention behind each phrase came from a place of presence, maturity, and emotional intelligence. It wasn't about impressing anyone. It was about connecting with them on a level most people were too distracted or afraid to reach. Over time, his relationships with each of these women took on different paths. With Lila, it became a mentorship that inspired her to publish her first book. With Grace, it grew into a gentle, slow-burning romance rooted in mutual admiration. With Natalie, it blossomed into a deep friendship that gave them both a safe space to talk. The lesson? Words matter, especially when they're chosen with care, backed by sincerity, and delivered in moments when someone needs to hear them. Tyler Dawson never set out to be the guy younger women thought about nonstop. But he became someone who left a lasting impression, not because of charm or looks, but because of presence and language. So, if you're ever wondering how to stand out in a WA,